Most motorcycles hum, they purr. They are polite machines designed to take you to work. A Ducati does not hum. It screams. Listen to that idle. It sounds broken. It sounds like a bag of hammers fighting in a dryer. That isn't a malfunction. That is the sound of mechanical aggression. When you start a Honda, it asks you, where would you like to go? When you start a Ducati Pinnacle, it asks you, are you ready to suffer? We call this soul. We call it character. But that is just marketing for pain. This machine feels alive because it is fighting. It wins races because it is designed to operate at the ragged edge of physics. But the moment you take this race-winning engineering onto a public street, the bike turns on you. It stops being a tool and starts being a torture device. Today, we are going to dissect the Ducati soul. We are going to look at the desmodromic valves, the monocoque chassis, and the thermal dynamics to understand why the fastest bike in the world is also the most exhausting experience of your life. To understand the torture, you have to understand the heart. Every other motorcycle on the planet uses springs to close the engine valves. It is simple. The cam pushes the valve open. The spring pushes it closed. But springs have a limit. At 14,000 RPM, the spring cannot keep up. It starts to float. The valve stays open when it should be closed. The engine loses power. The piston hits the valve. Bang. Game over. Ducati engineers looked at the spring and said, not good enough. So they built the desmodromic system. There are no springs. One rocker arm mechanically pushes the valve open. A second rocker arm mechanically forces it closed. It is clockwork precision. It allows a Ducati to rev higher and harder than anything else on the grid. This is why they dominate MotoGP. This is why they win. But here is the price you pay on the street. Springs are soft. Springs absorb shock. The Desmo system is direct metal-on-metal contact. It has zero tolerance. At 100 miles per hour, this is magic. The throttle connection is telepathic. At 20 miles per hour, it is a nightmare because there is no slop in the system. Every tiny movement of your wrist jerks the bike. It surges. It bucks. It feels angry. The bike hates going slow. It is punishing you for not riding at race pace. You are trying to commute. The bike is trying to launch you into the car in front of you. Then there is the heat. If you buy a Japanese bike, the engineers spend millions designing airflow to keep the heat away from the rider. They care about your comfort. Ducati engineers do not care about your comfort. They care about horsepower. Look at the engine layout. It is a V4 or an L-twin. The front cylinders are in the wind. They are happy. But the rear cylinders? They are sitting millimeters from your spine. They are trapped inside the frame with zero airflow directly between your legs. You are essentially straddling a controlled explosion. In traffic, a Pinnacle V4 runs at 220 degrees Fahrenheit. The exhaust routing loops under the seat like a heating coil. This isn't just warm. This is thermal abuse. Riders report first-degree burns on their inner thighs. The heat soaks into the frame, then into your jeans, then into your skin. The bike is physically draining the water from your body. After an hour of city riding, you aren't just tired, you are dehydrated. You are heat-stressed. The bike is winning the race, and you are the track surface it is burning rubber on. Let's talk about the feeling. People say a Ducati talks to you. They say the handling is razor sharp. Do you know why it feels that way? Because the engine is the frame. On a normal bike, you have a frame rails that flex. When you hit a bump, the frame bends slightly to absorb the energy. It acts like a second suspension. Ducati deleted the frame. On the Pinnacle, the steering head bolts directly to the engine block. The swing arm bolts directly to the engine block. The engine is a stressed member. It is a solid block of aluminum. Aluminum does not flex. It does not forgive. This means the chassis stiffness is off the charts. On a smooth racetrack, this is perfection. You feel every grain of asphalt. You can slice a corner with millimeter precision. But on the street, every pothole, every crack, every pebble is transmitted directly into your wrists and your spine. There is no filter. The bike punches you. Ride a Ducati for 30 minutes on a bad road, and your lower back will scream. Your wrists will throb. The bike is punishing you for daring to ride on imperfect pavement. It demands a racetrack, and it will beat you up until you give it one. And we cannot forget the clutch. Historically, Ducati used dry clutches. Most bikes use a wet clutch bathed in oil to keep it cool and smooth. Ducati left it dry. Why? Because oil creates drag. Oil steals horsepower. By removing the oil, they gained a fraction of a second on the track. The result? That iconic rattle. But the other result? A clutch that is heavy, grabby, and brutal. In stop-and-go traffic, the clutch lever on a Ducati feels like a grip strengthener from the gym. It is heavy. It bites hard. There is no smooth engagement. You either stall or you launch. Your left hand cramps. Your forearm burns. The bike is physically testing your endurance. It is asking, "Are you strong enough to ride me?" And usually, the answer is no. So, here is the paradox. This motorcycle cooks your legs. It breaks your back. It shakes your fillings out. It creates a level of physical fatigue that no Honda rider will ever understand. By all logical metrics, this is a bad street motorcycle. It is an engineering disaster for the real world. So why do we buy them? Why do we spend $40,000 to be abused? Because of the dopamine. The drain is the price of the life. Because when the traffic clears, when the road opens up, and you twist that throttle, the torture stops. The Dismo valves scream to 15,000 RPM. The stiff chassis cuts through the air like a scalpel. The heat becomes irrelevant. For those 10 seconds of adrenaline, the bike feels more alive than any human being. Japanese bikes try to serve you. They try to make your life easy. The Ducati tries to kill you. And there is something deeply, primally addictive about taming a beast that wants you dead. It drains you because it demands 100% of your focus. You cannot daydream on a Ducati. If you lose focus, you crash. It forces you to be present. It forces you to be in the moment. In a world of numbness, in a world of safe, boring cars and soft, comfortable bikes, the Ducati is a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart. This machine wins races because it sacrifices everything for speed. It sacrifices your comfort. It sacrifices your wallet. It sacrifices your sanity. If you want a friend, buy a Honda. If you want a lover who will ruin your life, break your heart, drain your bank account, but give you the wildest ride of your existence, buy the Ducati. It hurts. It drains you. It punishes you. And that is exactly why we love it.